We got another action-packed episode of upcoming mods for Fallout 4. Actually, the series isn't really action-packed, it's just normally a bunch of images I show you. So instead we have another exhilarating episode of upcoming mods for Fallout 4, the series where I show you guys currently work-in-progress mods by different mod authors in the community. You're going to be able to find links to everything I show you down below in the description. Check out some of the videos, check out some of these images, endorse those images on Nexus. And of course, all that is right below the subscribe and like buttons if you want to, check those out along the way. We'll keep the intro short on this one though, and we'll just jump into the first mod. Starting things off, we have some more updates to that work-in-progress equipment by Covadonga that I actually showed you guys in the previous episode. What we're checking out here are two distinctive pieces. First and foremost, the C96, as you can see right here. This is something you've probably used in some other video games. It's become pretty common, especially over the past few years. In addition, you'll probably get it in the newly announced Battlefield 5 also, so maybe you want to prep yourself for that game. Don't expect a release for that one until November, but this mod hopefully will come out before then. And if we're being honest with ourselves, this thing does look pretty freaking amazing, and machine pistols are just something so scarce and rare in Fallout 4 modding right now. Then we also do have the Ithaca M37, the iconic trench that you are all pretty familiar with. You've definitely experienced this one if you played any video games. This one is also looking super cool. Obviously, it's getting those iconic pump action animations that are so few and far between in Fallout 4 also. In addition, hopefully this mod actually uses that reload fix. It's really annoying shooting once and having to reload 5 bullets or showing the animation for that reload every single time. This thing can make a real burst onto the scene if it actually has the reload fix in addition to some awesome pump action animation, so let's see if it could actually make it happen. So then we get some more updates to Power Armor Lore Restored. You can probably guess what this one does. The title is fairly descriptive in that regard. Essentially, it's going to complete some of the continuities that were otherwise lost in Fallout 4. You're going to be seeing some paint jobs that appeared in previous Fallouts and likely should have appeared in Fallout 4, but never actually did. Things like the power armor with the army paint job actually being the right color, having the right insignia and logos on it, as well as different paint jobs and logos for other factions that would have made sense and probably should have appeared in Fallout 4 again, but didn't for whatever reason. One thing I'm super interested in though that they're actually introducing with this is going to be power armor training. If you played any of the older Fallouts, more or less since power armor was so strong and you technically could get it so early in the game, they introduced this concept of power armor training. Even if you had access to the armor, you need to unlock the ability to use it in order to actually put it on your character. I kind of like this, and especially with the vehicle concept of power armor in Fallout 4, I think that'd be something awesome to reintroduce into the game. In a lot of videos, I'm a huge fan and proponent of some assembly required, which makes power armor more powerful, but at the same time significantly scarcer. Is that even a word? I don't actually know. Either way, I love the idea of this mod bringing that back to the table. I'm very excited to see what other changes it makes. I think making power armor just more of a vehicle aspect, something that really takes a lot to actually get, but once you get it, you truly feel powerful, is a really cool concept, and I hope it's implemented well. So we got what might be an Energry W pack. More or less, this mod author was working on some equipment. I actually showed you this thing a while ago, but he posted a new image in the series, and this time he's more or less dubbing it as a lot of people really like the first one, so he may eventually make this into a pack of equipment, but it's still largely in the testing phase and not definitively coming out. Either way, I love this. I think this thing looks really cool. It features an aesthetic that's going to fit right into Fallout 4 with things like the Institute, but honestly, I think this almost looks like more of a hybrid between modern military equipment that you see today, like the P90. This almost has like a vector vibe going on, and actually crossing that modern military equipment with some of the laser equipment that appears in Fallout 4 and that laser technology. It's something we've seen pretty often in sci-fi games, but this particular aesthetic I feel like we don't have a lot of in Fallout 4, and I'd love to see more of it. Either way, I obviously do hope this eventually gets turned into a fully fledged mod. It looks pretty awesome right now, and I'll make sure to keep you guys up to date on covering it, so hopefully he feels more inspired to actually go and make this. Then we got a pretty simple update to the Sham Blur. This is something that's kind of released right now for Fallout 4. It was released on January 1st of 2018, and since then has seen no updates. Hopefully this is going to come as an update to that mod. It's fairly bare bones in its current iteration, so I would love to see obviously the texture upgrade, which we're seeing in this image, but maybe even a little bit more in the customizability department. But in addition, this same mod author Hall is actually working on a new SMG concept also. So I love the look of this. It has a very handmade feel, similar to some of the stuff Axis has made in the past. And I've really been saying in a lot of videos over the past few months that I feel like so many mods in Fallout 4 go for that modern military aesthetic, and I'm not a fan of it. This handmade or just put together aesthetic I think fits the Wasteland so much better, and it's something I want to see more of. Fortunately, we're starting to with things like the Service R Redux, but even this SMG looks awesome, and it's something I would love to get in game. Then we got another update to the Wars Thompson. So this is going to show you a lot of different features. And one of the things I'm very excited for that is introduced on this image set is like the proper M1921 or M1928 Thompson that actually has like that Tommy gun style that you're used to seeing in some of those Prohibition era movies or video games, whatever it may be. I believe it was the M1921 variant. That's like the more military variant that you're also seeing here. That's the one you're probably more used to seeing in video games, but I really love that M1928 aesthetic. And I'm not going to lie, I was pretty annoyed that with all this customization implementation in Fallout 4, even the SMG by default didn't come with that. And here we are almost 3 years later and no mod has added that in. So fortunately, Wars with their Thompson is stepping up, and I'm very excited for this one, as you could hopefully tell. So we gotta watch. This one's gonna be pretty cool. This is actually going to be included in a coming update for Gasmass of the Wasteland. That adding in a requirement to use Gasmass as you are outside for you and all the other NPCs, because of course it's the apocalypse, the air's polluted or something. That mod is heavily inspired by the Metro series, and the way you actually tell your Gasmass status in Metro is by looking at your watch. That looks fairly similar to this one. I really love this idea as an update. I'm curious as to how this is gonna work with some other Pip-Boy mods. I imagine there'll be maybe a hotkey that you actually hit to check your status or something like that, but either way, I just, again, really like this. I think it's going to make the mod feel even more unique, even with all these awesome features it's had as of late. Things like your gas mask getting damaged and having leaks, having to replace your filters, custom animations. It really is an awesome mod. If you've never checked it out, I would definitely recommend doing so, and I feel like it's one of those mods that's really bringing Fallout 4 to the next level gameplay wise and deserves the credit that it does get. So we got another image set for the summer overhaul, this time with the realistic lighting system. This is another mod that seems to be some kind of lighting overhaul. There's not really a detailed description, or at least not one that I saw that kind of says what exactly it does, but more or less it's going to make the game look better. That's the main takeaway here. Obviously you can see it bumps up the contrast and the vibrance, and although some of these images look really beautiful, I feel like the telling sign was actually on one of these last images when you see what looks like a vanilla image with no RLS and no summer overhaul, and then one with RLS and with the summer overhaul. Obviously that second image there looks really good. The vibrance and contrast may be a little bit too high for a lot of people, but it still looks significantly better than the vanilla option. Again, I don't really know the full deal with RLS, but it's not an ENB, but it has ENB-like features, which is something very interesting to me because it has the potential to get ported over to Xbox One. A lot of the stuff you're seeing in the background is already possible with an ENB or SweetFX, but of course that isn't possible on Xbox One. And for me personally, using an ENB makes it an absolute nightmare to record Fallout 4. You're really limited in your recording options because ENB disables a lot of things like typical game capture. Either way, another one that I'm closely following, and I will make sure to keep you guys up to date. So we actually have Drought. This is going to be an update to Concrete Jungle, something I showed you quite a bit of that is by the same mod author, Dapple92. More or less, Concrete Jungle was almost an overhaul of Spectacle Island. It was a settlement blueprint that you could implement, and it more or less turned Spectacle Island into a very cool looking city. You can see most of that in the background. Many of these city components are going to still exist with this, but now he actually found that after removing some of the green mods, it makes the settlement look significantly cooler as a more wastelandy and obviously not having as much greenery built up. So he just mentioned on this that he's going to post some updates to this, potentially offering Drought as an alternative to the typical Concrete Jungle for those of us that don't necessarily want as much of that greenery. I know a lot of you guys really enjoyed this mod and enjoyed my coverage of it, so I wanted to keep you up to date with some of the other happenings post-release. Then we got a really minor update with Fallout New California. I just wanted to kind of keep you guys up to date as to the happenings on their Facebook page and more give their Facebook page kind of a shout out. They do post almost daily status updates on their Facebook page. I'll have it linked down below. You guys probably should check it out if you are a Facebook user. But in addition, they actually are suggesting that they are really freaking close to release. Well, they've actually explicitly said they're close to release, but in addition, some of the things they're presently working on are like the README, getting the credits list correct. Those are things that, you don't do when release is 6 months away. So hopefully we'll actually get to experience this mod relatively soon. I know I said it last time, but I'll say it again. I plan to do fairly extensive coverage on this and actually live stream myself playing through the entirety of it.
Two drifters off to see the world. There's such a lot of world to see.
But in other overhaul mod news, we also do have a trailer for Fallout Cascadia. The trailer looks amazing. It's really showing off a lot of the world space, a lot of locations. It's extremely well done, and I don't want to spoil too much of it, so I'm actually going to link it in the description and at the end of this video if you just want to finish my video first. The trailer largely speaks for itself, and I more want to give it a shout out. Something a lot of people may have missed though is actually on their website, they updated some of the information on the factions that will appear in this mod. The lore and larger backstory of Fallout Cascadia has largely been a mystery to all of us watching from the outside. What seems like is going to be one of the main factions, and of course the unique one, is going to be the Republic of Cascadia. I'll read a snippet from the description, but I'll actually have a link to this down below. It reads as, a new grand city with actual economics and social class that has yielded a society not too different from our own. Affluence has returned, and to continue their growth they began expanding and colonizing outlying towns, incorporating them into their economics, imposing their laws, politics, and culture upon them. And they actually go on more about some of these politics, how these towns are reacting to this, and it's really interesting. This is something I wish we had more of in Fallout 4. Because so often you see these like shambles of cities, or even Diamond City, which is referred to as the heart of the Commonwealth, but then you go to it and you're like, oh, that's it? The bombs dropped many years ago in Fallout 4, and it would kind of make sense that people would have at least had some success in their rebuilding efforts, and a new power would have taken place. Yet it still seems like everyone is struggling to survive. The other unique faction they actually list are the Red Leafs. These are described as a reactionary force to the imperialistic expansion by the ROC, that being the Republic of Cascadia, which I just told you about. The Red Leafs are composed of those opposed to the aggressive policies that the ROC has used to annex new territories and the authoritarian rule it has imposed upon them. So now you can see the two sides to this puzzle, and the one major third faction we do know about is of course the NCR, or New California Republic. They released some armor mods for this faction and the service R for Fallout 4 that you can download right now. And again, I'll have all this linked down below. Check out the trailer, check out the faction information that I feel like not as many people actually know about, and all around amazing work by Fallout Cascadia. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video, and rather than a typical psych fun fact, I actually wanted to cover the donation system on Nexus that went live today. So I talked about this originally quite a few months ago, but more or less Nexus was implementing a system that mod authors could actually get paid for unique downloads. Well, it actually went live today and it looks pretty freaking cool. More or less right now, if you are a mod author and you are on Nexus, you can opt into the system, and now based on how many unique downloads your mods do get, you will get a certain allocation from the overall pool of money that is allocated to this. Originally, Nexus actually mentioned that there'd be a way to donate into it. It doesn't seem like that functionality is available right now, or maybe it's not coming at all. Either way, they themselves as a company have committed $100,000 over the next 12 months to this. So more or less what this means is over the next 12 months, mod authors will get $100,000 from Nexus where they previously got nothing. Now split however many ways this does go, it may not be a ton of money, but it's more than nothing, and you are largely doing exactly the same thing. I personally am in huge support of this. I do hope going forward we actually get to see the option to contribute. I would love to contribute this monthly. Obviously modding is pretty much the backbone of my channel, and I do want to give back to the community when possible. But either way, it looks really cool. I'll have a link to the article down below if you guys want to read and get a little bit more in depth on it, but I wanted to kind of give it a shout out because I know not all of you visit Nexus mods as much as I do, and I feel like this is a pretty big deal for the modding community as a whole.